Hello, my podcast family. I am Dr. Jasmine, and you are listening to DNM with Jasmine, a podcast where I talk about deep and meaningful things. Before I start with this episode, I want to give you all a trigger warning. This episode's content might evoke some strong and triggering emotions in you all. So choose according to your mental health. Hello, my dearest listeners. In the beginning of this season, I talked about the three major emotions that we feel. Basically, the three umbrella terms that we often use to describe our emotions due to lack of emotional vocabulary or even the lack of self-awareness. And those are happy, mad, and sad. Now, when I say mad, what I mean is anger. Being angry and sad often comes from a place of hurting. Raise your hand if you have ever been hurt in your life. You can't see me right now, but I am raising my hand up high. What I want you to do is recall that moment, that deep hurting, and stay with it for the duration of this episode. I remember the last time I was hurt. Although it was an emotional hurting, but I felt it in my bones. The discomfort of it. It was actually a shock, but with a bout of uneasiness. And I felt that it would take my breath away. What I felt was anguish. A combination of despair, hopelessness, anger, sadness. And I felt all of that physically in my body. I remember I was walking back home when I got this call that laid upon me this immense hurt. I felt numb and I couldn't even see anything clearly. I don't remember whether it was all the tears that had completely hazed my vision, or maybe it was just the adrenaline in my body that made me race back home, sit down and have a sip of water. It was only then that I was able to understand what had hit me. You see, we are all humans, and to be human is to know sadness. It's to know how disappointment, hopelessness, anguish, and grief feels like all at once. It feels like a quicksand in a way, all too consuming. I'm sure that we've all gone through such hard times, and we will face them again too. And sometimes we just cannot afford to process such strong emotions at that time. So what can help us at such times? I know the answer to that. And I think it is the biggest virtue one needs to master. And I call it the big R. This R, it helps us to develop skills and mindset to endure the inevitable hardships in life. The hurt that you went through that affects you a little less today is because you too had the virtue of resilience. Resilience as a definition is the ability to overcome adversity and stress. Basically, it means to push through, to bounce right back. Resilience is to recover. But I really want to tell you all that resilience is not just about being on the ground after getting hit by an obstacle in your way and bouncing right back up. What happens when that obstacle comes out of nowhere, which you obviously did not deserve? It can be damaging. That injury becomes a part of you. It brings with it trauma, fear, and shame. And sometimes there is no bouncing back. There is only moving through. I remember this quote by Eric Greeton that states that what happens to us becomes a part of us. Resilient people do not bounce back from their hard experiences. Rather, they find healthy ways to integrate them into their lives. Often, there will be things that happen to you that are not in your hands, like the result of an exam, the fate of a relationship, and death. And trust me when I tell you that I have gone through all the stations of this train. And as difficult as it was for me, I came through all of that. And very recently, my friend's mental health was really affected by something that she had no control over. And she called me in the middle of the night, weeping, telling me what she was going through and admitting that she was in a very, very dark phase. And she confided in me very bravely and told me that she was contemplating suicide. I was shocked. This is not the person that I know. But I knew that she was going through a very difficult time. And it took guts to admit that to me, to open up about her family situation, and to be vulnerable with me. But I don't know, what do you say to a loved one when they say such a thing? Or when they're going through something that you don't know much about? But I know what it feels to be hurt. What it feels to be alone in that darkness. And all I wanted to do was to make her feel safe in the moment and a little less alone. So we talked for a couple of hours, and before cutting the call, she told me that she felt better. All that is required is to talk to a loved one. And not only does that take that numbness away, it often brings you your power back. People who have resilience seek help. They develop skills and identify their triggers, and they understand that things are not right. People with resilience have a strong social support available to them, and they feel connected. The more difficulties that you face in life, the more resilient you become, and the better are your skills to tackle difficulties and hardships in life. I would also like to mention one of the most important things, which is an imperative component of resilience. And that is faith. Believing in something that is bigger than you. Practicing spirituality plays a big role in dealing with stressful situations. When we don't have control over certain things in life, it feels better to let the universe handle things for us. If anything, it gives us some hope. And hope, my friend, needs a lot of patience. And while you're patiently waiting for the cosmos to get you out of that difficult situation, cultivate meaningful connections that make you feel worthy and bring about a sense of belonging. It's the love of your loved ones that makes you feel supported. And when a person feels that, they recognize their power to come out of a difficult time. Practicing resilience has been reported to reduce the rate of suicide. So show the courage of reaching out to your friends. Text, call, or meet a friend that you haven't talked to in a while. We need to be there for each other. Even if you don't know exactly what to say, reach out. And that is what I promised today. I am going to text or call 3 of my friends that I haven't talked to in a while. And all I'm going to do is reconnect with them and listen to them. And I encourage you to do the same. And let me know how your experience was. You can reach out to me with your stories on Instagram @DNM with Jasmine. Thank you for listening.